Hello. Today we're going to talk about division. Division of monomials and division of polynomials. Let's start off first with division of monomials. So I have an example here. 6xy squared minus 3xy plus 2x squared y. And I'm going to divide the whole thing by xy. Now notice xy is a monomial. One way I can write this is to say xy squared minus 3xy plus 2x squared y all divided by xy. And as you remember, if they write it like that, you can take that xy and split it up amongst all three of those terms. So to divide it, I can divide an xy out of each of the three terms. So the x cancels the x on top, and the y on the bottom cancels one y on bottom. I'm just left with a 6y minus x cancels an x on top, a y cancels a y on bottom, so we're just left with a minus 3. And x cancels one of the x's on top, the y on the bottom cancels the y on the top. All we're left with is a plus 2x. And so 6y minus 3 plus 2x is our simplified term. So that's pretty straightforward. What happens if we divide with a polynomial when there's more terms? Well, this first method, we're going to talk about long division. And I'm just going to review, how do we long divide if I had a number? So the first number that I have is 1,224 divided by 4. So as you can remember, back in elementary school when they taught this, instead of dividing the whole thing, you're going to divide just one number. So does 4 go into 1? No, it doesn't. So then we're going to slide it over and say, well, how about 12? Yes. So 4 goes into 12 3 times. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place a 3 right above that 12. Now notice how I'm ignoring all the other digits to the right of that. My next step is going to be take that 3 and multiply it times that 4. Or whatever it equals, I'm going to put on the bottom. 3 times 4 is 12. Great. The last step is I'm going to take it and I'm going to subtract the 12 minus the new 4 times 3, 12. That equals a 0. Then I'm going to move my box and I'm going to take the next number and I will drop it down. So that is a 2. So now it's a 0, 2, or just 2. I'm going to ask myself, how many times does 4 go into 2? Well, it doesn't go into it at all. So, but because I started this already, I need to put up a 0 up here for a place value holder. Okay? So then I can slide over and do the next one. How about the next 4? Actually, let's go back. Let's go back just a little bit. 0 times 4 is 0. I don't want to skip steps and confuse you at all. 2 minus 0 is, or 2 minus 0 is still a 2. Okay, then we'll take the next 4 and bring that one down. So now it becomes a 24. What goes 4 times what is 24? 4 times 6 is 24. So 6 times 4 is 24. Bring that down here. And then we will subtract. And when that's 0 and when we've used up all of our terms, there's nothing left, then 306 will be my final answer. So 306 times 4 is 1,224. Or 1,224 divided by 4 is 306. We are going to use the exact same process to apply to polynomials. So what we're going to do, instead of looking at this whole big thing, we're going to cover one of these up. Now really, we're just going to focus on the first term here. This first term is really where our eyes are going to look at. So when I look at this and I cover up the back, how many times does x go in the x squared? Well, what times x makes an x squared? We're going to multiply that as just a plain x. Because it's a plain x, the x's and the pluses actually determine our columns. So because I have just an x times x, I'm going to put an x column right here. But when I do that, I need to multiply this x times both of those two parts. So x times a minus 4 is going to be a minus 4x. And now you can start to see why I put it over in that column. X times an x is a x squared. Then I'm going to come through and I'm going to subtract. When I subtract with polynomials, make sure you write a minus next to this term and change the sign of that term. That way we can add without forgetting any negative signs. That's where a lot of mistakes will happen. X squared minus x squared is 0. That's gone. A plus 2x plus 4 more x's is 6x. Then we're going to move over and bring our next term down. So this comes down, well, minus 24. And then we'll start all over again. X goes into 6x. How many times? What times x makes 6x? Well, that would be a positive 6. So we'll write plus 6. When I do that, I'll then multiply this 6 times both of those terms. So x times minus 4 is going to be a minus 24. 6 times x is going to be a 6x. And then we'll go and subtract. When I subtract, make sure to change the signs on both terms. 6 minus 6x is 0. Minus 24 plus 24 also makes a 0. That means I'm not going to have a remainder, and the answer is going to be x plus 6. So if I divide x squared plus 2x minus 24 by x minus 4, my final answer will be x plus 6. Well, what happens? There's a couple other situations you may run into, and let's just try it and see what happens. The first thing I want to show is I want to point out, looking at this x to the 4 minus 3x cubed plus x squared minus 5. It follows the pattern of x, the powers of x going down by 1 every time until we get to here. At this point right here, there should be an x to the 1 power, which there isn't. So when we put this into our form, we're going to have to put in a place value holder, a 0x right there, just to hold that place value. And as we do this problem, you'll kind of see why. So we'll start out again with our problem, focusing on our x. What times x makes an x to the 4? Well, x to the 3. X to the 3 goes in the x to the 3 column. I'm going to put that right above our x to the 3's. Second step, multiply it times both of these two terms. So x to the 3 times 2 is going to be a plus 2x cubed. X to the 3 times x is a x to the 4. Let's subtract. So subtract, change both signs, both terms. X to the 4 minus x to the 4 is 0. Minus 3x minus 2x cubed is going to be a minus 5x cubed. Then we'll drop the next term down, so plus x squared, and continue again. X times what makes a minus 5x cubed? Well, we'll need a minus, we'll need a 5, and a x squared. So let's multiply that minus 5x, and remember the sign comes with it, to both of those terms. A minus 5x squared plus 2 is going to be a minus 10x squared. Minus 5x squared times x is going to be a minus 5x cubed. Let's subtract. When I subtract, remember, change both of the signs to make it easier on yourself. A minus 5x cubed and a plus 5x cubed is a 0. A positive x squared and a plus 10x squared is going to be an 11x squared. Let's drop down our place value holder. That's going to be a plus 0x. And keep going. Focusing on our x. What times x makes 11x squared? How about a positive 11x? Step 2. Distribute it to both of those. So 11x times 2 is going to be a plus 22x. And now notice, if I had dropped down that minus 5, you can't subtract the minus 5 from a 22x, so that's why we need that place value there. 11x times x is going to be an 11x squared. And when I subtract, remember, change the signs on both of them. So 11x squared minus 11x squared is 0. 0x minus 22x is going to be a minus 22x. And then let's drop our minus 5 down. Minus 5. Keep on going. What times x makes a minus 22x? How about minus 22? Minus 22 times a plus 2 is going to be a minus 44. The minus 22 times an x is going to be a minus 22x. So we'll subtract, change the sign on both terms. That makes a 0. And a minus 5 plus 44 is going to be a 39. Positive 39. Now, we've run out of things to drop down, and we haven't hit 0 yet. So what happens when we come across this? Well, as long as you're sure that you haven't made any plus or minus mistakes, you're going to leave that as a remainder. And how you'll write it is tack onto your answer a plus 39, but it's not just any 39. It's a 39 that has not been divided by an x plus 2. And so we're going to leave it like that, 39 that needs to be divided by an x plus 2. And this is our whole answer to that problem. X cubed minus 5x squared plus 11x minus 22 plus 39 over x plus 2. So follow the steps. Remember, how many times, focus on your x. How many times, what do you need to multiply times that x to get the first term? Distribute it to both of the terms, subtract, and drop down. Good luck.